Okay. Well, we'll get a little bit of an intro to start with. Um, just the basic information. Kugel's Saga is a picaresque fantasy novel by American writer Jack Vance, published by Timescape in 1983, the third book of the Dying Earth saga. The Dying Earth series, the first volume which appeared in 1950. The narrative of Kugel's Saga continues from the point at which it left off at the end of The Eyes of the Otherworld, 1966. The Internet Speculative Fiction Database calls Kugel's Saga twice as large and less episodic than Eyes of the Otherworld and catalogues it as a novel rather than a fix-up, but also qualifies that label. This is marketed as a novel, but there is a table of contents and some of the parts were previously published, but none are acknowledged. Okay. So we have Dying Earth in 1950, short story collection somewhat. The Eyes of the Overworld in 1966, where we introduce Kugel. Kugel's Saga in 1983, which twice as big, and 1984 Reality of the Marvelous. That's the Dying Earth books by Jack Vance. Now there is also A Quest for Symbolists by Michael Shee, which is published by the same publisher, Grafton, I think, which is a Dying Earth novel as well by a different author. So that was obviously authorised one. So you could sort of call that fan fiction if you like. But it was authorised stuff back then. It was published by the same publisher. So that's another Dying Earth work. Okay. Yeah. Now I had I'm pretty sure I read Dying Earth. I'm not 100% sure. I think I read Dying Earth back in the day. And I did read Eyes of the Overworld and I did read Kugel's Saga. Having yet got around to Reality of the Marvelous. Haven't yet read that. But when these were read I'd obtained them with my fantasy book collecting in the late 1980s, mid to late 1980s and early 1990s when I collected and read fantasy books and science fiction books. And I read things like The Twilight Realm by Christopher Carpenter, whose real name was Christopher Evans, and The Belgariad by David Eddings, and The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, and The Saga of the Pleiadian Exiles. The big names at the time, I read a lot of the works. And Jack Vance, of course, had been around for years with Dying Earth and other things, and gave some of his books a go. Now, I'd also read at that time The Chronicles of an Age of Darkness by Hugh Cook. And my favourite work, I worked for over that decade of those books coming out, the entire 10 volumes, and like a lot of people, my favourite was The Walrus and the Warwolf, where Droll Dragon Drake into Way sort of has his glory. And, if you put Droll Dragon, Drake, and Kugel side by side in a mugshot parade of fantasy characters, they look pretty similar. Fantasy's biggest bastards, if you know what I mean. Scurvy, Scummered and lads will do anything to sort of... dirty men, I think Garth Ennis would be proud of them. Lobo says, "Hey bro, how you going?" Keith Giffen says, from DC Comics, you're my fellas, Kugel. You're my fellas, Droll Dragon. You're the dudes. And they cut a few cobblers and sell them for a profit. They're diabolically bad boys, with a sarcastic, wicked tongue. And it's Droll Dragon Drake drawn away from Chronicles of an Age of Darkness and Kugel. I remember bits where he's on that ship trying to make it to a new location, and but his wife was called Solnik. I don't remember any of the details much all the way back, but I've had a look at this article. And Master Soldink and his wife, here we go, Madam Soldink, wife and their 3 daughters, Tabazinth, Meader, and Salasser. I do particularly remember that standing out. How she, Kugel would bed those ladies throughout the night, the daughters. That crude a man, but she tried to send a ship. She'd sail it back while he was sleeping with her daughters. She'd sail it back to the direction she wanted to go. But I remember that Madame Solding would prepare Kugel's meals, and the daughters or something said after a while that she did disgusting things with the food and all sorts of things, and I can imagine sort of gross stuff. But that memory stands up. But Kugel sort of took it in his stride and didn't give a damn. So the food tasted all fine. So took it in his stride. So he was that's for those fantasy characters who sort of last, the ones who can cope with the gritty business and not really give a damn anyway. Classic stuff. But it's sarcasm. Dying Earth, not all of it, but a lot of it is sarcasm and mockery and wit and feral fantasy swordsmen and magicians who sort of live in a world where it's not exactly paradise, even though to some that might be their paradise. But it's gritty and sword and sorcery and, rule of law is by the power of a sword and the wizard's wand, I suppose. The toughest bastard survives. Get it? Great stuff. Worth reading still. Pretty sure they're classics for all time to come. Commentary on The Dying Earth by Jack Vance.